Good afternoon. On behalf of the Holt Board of Education, I would like to welcome you to the 2020 Holt High School Commencement Ceremony. To that end, by now you know that we are honoring this senior class in a way we will never forget. Behind each of you in the senior class is a series of stakeholders who supported you during the difficult times and celebrated you often during your school career. We appreciate and thank all of you for your ongoing leadership and service to our amazing graduates. Class of 2020, it's with a heavy heart and tremendous optimism that I share my thoughts with you. First, I would like to thank you for your thoughtful tweets, Facebook posts, and Instagram messages about how dangerous and unsafe the road conditions were each day from October to March in mid-Michigan. With only one official snow day called, I never dreamed that you would be finishing your high school career this way. Next, in all sincerity, I would like to begin by apologizing to you. I'm sorry that your senior year has been disrupted by the coronavirus. I'm sorry the last few months of what you've worked toward for 13 years has passed away before your eyes. I'm sorry that you have missed the spring play, senior night during spring athletic contests, performing in your final band or choir concert, attending your final academic awards ceremony, or camping out on school property, and finally attending a traditional senior prom. Your class can navigate multiple worlds simultaneously. You have demonstrated that you can jump between the physical and digital space with ease. As this chapter comes to a close, I challenge you to do all the good you possibly can with as little fuss as possible, as Charles Dickens once said. As I reflect on the events related to the death of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Rayshard Brooks, and many, many others, as well as the subsequent demonstrations across the nation, I worry about the well-being of you and our learning community in the absence of the opportunity to reach out and physically support one another. In a typical year, we would be able to process these events in person, in our classrooms, in our schools, and in our learning community. Over the past 4 years, I've written about civility several times. Civility is defined as courtesy, politeness, or polite action and or expression. Though we may have differing opinions, a level of civility, mutual regard, and support for one another will lead us to shared objectives. Regardless of the environment, we need to come together and take care of our community. We need to create the space for people to grieve the loss of human lives. We need to continue to work to combat racism by using our voices in productive and civil ways. The hardships and pain are intense. Holt Public will continue to work on and prioritize equity and justice initiatives. We deeply care for and appreciate the students and families we serve. While we're not able to embrace the process these difficult times in person, I hope you will find ways to help a neighbor, a community member, or a stranger. We are committed to changing the culture and climate of Holt Public to be more inclusive and just in everything we do, and we will need your help. Moving forward, we are here for you. As you've heard me say for years, we are better together. I urge you to be kind and caring during these challenging times. We need to find peace by talking to one another with empathy and compassion. I imagine I'm the happiest superintendent in the nation today, and I'm certainly proud of all of you. It's with tremendous pride and enthusiasm that I again welcome you to the Holt High School Commencement Ceremony. Graduation is a time for celebration. It's a time for looking back on lessons learned, adventures shared, and fond memories. Graduation is a time for farewells. It's a time for saying goodbye to old friends and good times known, and a time to file away years of memories for another day. Graduation is a time for a new beginning. It's a time for looking forward, a time to set new goals, and a time to dream new dreams. Some of you know me as your former young fives or kindergarten teacher. Some of you know me as your youth soccer coach. Some of you know me as your club soccer coach, and others remember me as your principal or neighbor. Staying true to my training, I intend to read you one final story. The book is called Only One You. Only one you. It's time, Papa said. I think it is, Mama agreed. Time for what? Artie asked. Papa's voice softened. To share some wisdom. Always be on the lookout for a new friend. Look for beauty wherever you are and keep the memory of it with you. Blend in where you need to. Stand out when you have the chance. Find your own way. You don't have to follow the crowd. Know when to speak and know when to listen. No matter what you look at, there's so much to discover. If you make a wrong turn, circle back. If something gets in your way, move around it. Set aside some quiet time to relax and reflect every day. Appreciate art. It's all around you. Make wishes on the stars in the midnight sky. Thank you for listening, Mama said. We hope you'll remember. Papa winked and whispered, we know this is a lot for you to think about. Artie did a backward somersault and smiled. He was excited to go out into the world with what he had just learned. Wait for me, he shouted to his friends. Before he swam away, he turned back to his parents and said, I will remember. Mama kissed Artie on the top of his head. There's only one in this great big world, she said. Make it a better place. Class of 2020, you are ready for the world. Imagine the possibility of one of you developing the code to eliminate illiteracy. Imagine the possibility of one of you developing a method to eliminate childhood obesity. Imagine the possibility of one of you finding a cure for cancer. Regardless of where you go and what you do, remember, you will always be a Holt Ram. As the story noted, there's only one you in this great big world. Keep in touch and make the world a better place. It will take each of us to make a difference for all of us. And finally, class of 2020, you all deserve a wow, wow, super wow. Congratulations.
Welcome to the class of 2020 commencement. We are excited to welcome everyone via Facebook to our live stream of our Holt High School graduation and to honor our graduates over the next 2 days. These students have all worked so hard over the past 13 years of their school, and we are so proud to honor them for these accomplishments. At this time, I would like to introduce our student speaker for Saturday, Ely Hademus, who was one of 2 students chosen by his peers to give the graduation speech for the class of 2020 today. Please welcome Ely Hademus to the stage to give the student graduation speech.
Good morning, friends. Today and tomorrow are the big days. We did it. We finally made it through these painful, tiring, gruesome 12 years of schooling. Today, we step out of our childhood and into adulthood. Unlike a majority of my fellow classmates, I haven't attended Holt my whole life. I transferred here in 2016 at the beginning of our freshman year. When I first came here, I went through, I guess you could say, a little bit of a culture shock. I went from a class of 26 students, half of which I had known since I was 4 years old, to a class of almost 500, knowing maybe 4 or 5 people. I saw more new things and more new faces on my first day of school at Holt than I had in my prior 10 years of school combined. Though I didn't grow up here, I will always remember the people I met and the times I had here. Whether that be for giving me a smile in the hallway, or taking me into your friend group as one of your own on my first day, or hanging over the balcony during lunch, I will always remember you, and this will always be one big family to me. Thank you for making this the best 4 years of my life. Thank you, high school, for teaching me that desperation creates innovation. Thank you, Miss Umstead, for making me get an early start on this speech, because if she hadn't, I probably wouldn't have written it until the night before. Thank you, classmates, for always keeping the passing periods entertaining. Thank you, teachers, for making me realize that I do not have the patience to become one. Thank you, parents, for birthing us at the time you did, because 2020 is a pretty sweet year to graduate. What class would be better to have graduate this year than us? We're the best. We're perfect. except for the time that we lost our last ever homecoming pep rally to the sophomores and lost in the first round of the playoffs in football, and the basketball team was 6-15. When you got a bad grade on that test, when you forgot to do your homework, when our teachers couldn't answer a question that we had on a test, when our parents didn't teach us how to do laundry, or when you lie in front of your whole high school and make it seem like your mom didn't try and teach you how to do laundry. That last one might just be me, but my point is, we have all failed perfection, as everyone does. What most people fail to realize is that failing is okay. In fact, I'd like to encourage you to fail harder. We live in a society so geared towards perfection, we forget about the process of imperfection that is necessary to reach it. We forget that in order to grow, you must fail. Failing is a tool that we need to use for growth, not as something we see as a disappointment. No one is more afraid to fail than I am. I've lived my entire life trying to meet expectations and not disappoint others. If I had one regret in my childhood, it would be not putting myself in more uncomfortable situations. I never put myself in situations where I had any doubt in myself. It was always 100% confidence. As a matter of fact, this is the very reason why I'm doing this speech today. I know I'll probably slur a few words, or forget a few sentences, or tell a joke that no one will laugh at, but I will grow from it. I've always been uncomfortable with the idea of failure and thought that it was something so frowned upon that I need to just forget about it whenever it happens. What I've learned in high school is that forgetting your failures is not how you grow. You grow by remembering your mistakes and using them to make yourself better. So, classmates, remember the bad grade you got on that test. Study the content harder, get a better one next time. Athletes, remember that layup or tackle that you missed. Work on it until the next game. Don't let it happen again. Teachers and coaches, remember that one student that fell just a little bit short, and don't let another kid go through that. Ely, do a load of laundry when you get home. Love, Mommy. So, to all the parents and grandparents, all the kids and teenagers, all the teachers and coaches, all the school board members, and to all the graduating class of 2020, I encourage you all from now on to fail harder. Thank you.
Thank you, Ely. We appreciate your words today. To the graduating class of 2020, this year is a year we will never forget. There's never been a year like this that we have ever encountered. Who could have imagined that on March 13th, when the governor ordered schools to shut down for COVID-19, that over 3 months later, we would still not be together to end our journey at Holt High School. These last few months have been some of the most difficult and unfamiliar for all of us, including our graduating class. While we have all learned new meanings for words like social distancing, continuous learning, quarantine, flatten the curve, and executive orders, the words that come to mind to represent this class are far more familiar. Words like resilient, persistent, overcoming obstacles, and fearless are words I would use to describe the class of 2020. While the last couple of months may have been some of the most difficult in your young lives, I truly believe that it is times like these that make us all better. I stand here today confidently knowing that the trials you have encountered over the last 3 months will help you to successfully meet the challenges you encounter as you begin the next chapter in your lives. I wish you all the best, and just remember that you will forever be a Holt Ram. Congratulations to the class of 2020. Seniors, prepare to graduate. On April 13th, 2020, we lost a member of the class of 2020. David Garabai Kuros was an amazing young man that was always smiling every single time you encounter him. To honor David, we have asked his parents to start off our presentation of diplomas to accept David's diploma. Good morning. It is my pleasure today to welcome our graduates, parents, families, and friends to our second day of Holt Public Schools commencement ceremony. We are so glad that everyone here, either via live stream or in person later today, are able to share in this event with us and our graduates to congratulate them for their accomplishments. I would like to take this opportunity to thank some people who have played a significant role in the education of these students. I would like to thank Holt High School staff for their work with these students over the past 4 years. Each staff member has worked tirelessly to support the class of 2020 at Holt High School. They are some of the most dedicated people I've had the pleasure to work with. I would also like to acknowledge and thank our school board members who have been huge supporters of our students and who have helped to make their success possible. Board President, Mr. Mark Perry. Board Vice President, Mrs. Laura Colligan. Board Secretary, Mrs. Julie Bureau. Board Treasurer, Mr. Ben Bakken. Board Trustee, Mrs. Amy Dalton. Board Trustee, Mr. Robert Helgren. Board Trustee, Mrs. Jennifer Roble. I would also like to recognize the Holt administration who worked tirelessly to provide support and leadership to help these students to be successful. Superintendent, Dr. David Hornack. Executive Director of Curriculum and Staff Development, Mr. Steve Netzel. Executive Director of Student Achievement and Staff Development, Mrs. Jessica Cotter. Director of Human Resources, Mr. Peter Chazais. My high school principals, Mr. William Birdie, Mr. Nick Johnson, and Dr. Aaron Quinlan. Also like to thank our Secondary Programs Director, Mr. Lucas Schraben, our Athletic Director, Mrs. Renee Sadler, and our Theater and Events Manager, Mr. Jeff Miller. I would also like to have a special thanks to our Senior Activities Committee who stepped up big time to make this all possible. We appreciate the hours and hard work that it took to support our seniors this year. And now I would like to introduce our student speaker for Sunday. Lydia Rose was picked by a group of her peers to give today's speech. Please welcome Lydia Rose to the stage to give her graduation speech.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Hello, family, friends, Board of Education, and staff. And hello to the class of 2020. We made it. My name is Lydia Rose. I am honored to be speaking on behalf of my class and to be celebrating our achievement with everyone today. This year has taken an unforeseen turn. We started 2020 expecting a few visits from the Holt Yeti, but what happened was unexpected worldwide. Living through a pandemic at 18, maybe 17 years old, is confusing, frustrating, and heartbreaking. It put our patience and motivation to the test. With all of the negative things about this situation that we have faced, missing our senior prom, the last high school sports season, the senior campout, and the last day of high school, there are so many overwhelming positives that we have been granted. We spent time with our families and loved ones. We were given tributes to celebrate us in sports, band, clubs, and our futures. We received loving emails and Google Classroom assignments from our teachers. Without missing a day, we got our daily stickers virtually in the form of videos from Ms. Umstead. We were checked in on by Mr. Pulver, asking us how we are doing and responding with motivational and caring messages. Mr. Vessel told us stories over our Google Meet and tried to give us a sense of normality during the time. We had nonstop support and help from Mr. Schnepp, who gave us a key into the world of math. We had conversations with Mr. Emerson about our futures, his grandfather clock, which often rang in the middle of our Google Meets, and how things were going for us in general. We were put to sleep with the bedtime stories Holt Public provided, which also gave us the opportunity to reconnect with our past teachers. The curriculum changed in a day just for us. With the change of all the plans we had for the year, we were given a valuable, unintended curriculum, which is this. There is an immeasurable value of kindness and love in our world and in each person. We, as the class of 2020, have been given the tools and examples of this through Holt Public Schools staff. Now it is our job to carry it out. We were constantly supported by the school board and staff members who showed us how proud of us they are. Over the past 4 years, we have made our way up to the front of the stadium bleachers. Sorry, band kids, you're only at the front if you're in percussion. We have won the Spirit Jug multiple times, 8 to be exact if we're going off of my count. We tie-dyed our shirts together, and we finally got our hot dog day for college month, and we have made so many more memories together. I would like to share a memory of mine. Over the 4 years of marching band, Mr. Emerson has always shared this with us. Look up at the sky. Someday you will be driving by the Holt Stadium or any other stadium, and you will see the sky and the lights, and it will look exactly how it does right now. Since this year was my last year hearing that, I thought it would be fitting to share it with you as well. So, class of 2020, if you would join me for a few seconds, wherever you are, and look up at the sky to encapsulate this unexpected, wonderful, and memorable commencement ceremony. Thank you. Friends, as we get ready to graduate, I would like for you to feel proud of yourself. You've made it. As I think of my class and my classmates, I can't help but smile at you guys. I am so excited for all of your futures. They are so bright. Thank you, class of 2020, for being such an accepting, kind, and loving class. Though our last year of high school has been challenging, I would not trade it for anything. Thank you so much, and congratulations, class of 2020.
As principal of Holt High School, I confirm that these students have mastered the essential skills and have met the graduation requirements set forth by the state of Michigan and Holt Public Schools. Graduates, please move your tassels from right to left. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to present to you the graduating class of 2020. Congratulations. This concludes our class of 2020 commencement ceremony. We are so proud of our newest Holt Ram alumni. Best of luck in your future endeavors. Go Holt Rams.